All right, so hello everyone. This is the fourth lesson or lecture for control and instrumentation. In today's lecture, we are going to study about block diagram modeling or block diagram models. So basically, in today's class, I am going to cover lesson number 4 and lesson number 5. Block diagram, I think we will be studying about how to reduce the block diagram. We have already discussed about transfer function, which kind of represent our physical system. And usually while modeling a control system, what we do is we develop that transfer function and replace the physical or the schematic of our physical system by that block with its transfer function. Right? So we develop several blocks which are interconnected in different manner to represent our control system. Okay. So, I mean, block diagram is a very common method of representing the logic, how the signal it flows from one block which modifies it to another block which modifies it in a different way, right? It kind of shows the arrangement of the different systems within or different subsystems within your control system. Okay, so let's start with the block diagram. So essentially, your engineering system, as we know that it will include different components, right? Which may have different parameters and they may operate depending on different laws, right? And we develop a transfer function, which is essentially a mathematical representation of these components. And then we altogether replace our components by a block with its transfer function, right? So as I mentioned that block diagram, it kind of shows the flow of signal from one part to another part of your system, right? So in an engineering system or any system, you may have several blocks. For example, what I have taken here is an example of a motorbike. Okay. So you may have a separate block for mode selection. So something like if you are driving on a city road, you will select a different mode. Or if you are doing off-roading, that is you are driving in a rough terrain or something, or you are driving on a hilly slope, right? So you will select different modes. Nowadays we have advanced motorbikes, right? So they have these different types of modes in them, right? So you may have a block which operates or which select allows you to select different modes, right? And then you may have a separate block or a set of components which are being represented by this block here to control the throttle, right? And depending on the mode which you have selected and the throttle, the amount of throttle you are giving, your controller will decide the speed, then fuel intake and all those things it will decide and then send it to your motorbike. So accordingly, depending on the mode and the amount of throttle which you are giving, you will have different speed or power generated by your motorbike. Okay. So essentially what I mean is for any engineering system or any control system, we will have several blocks. Okay. It's not essentially a single block. You will have multiple blocks within your control system. Now, in this slide, I have kind of, so this is a closed loop system. and I have marked these different components that we use in a block diagram. So you have the input signal, which comes from outside the system or from the outside environment, right? And within this dotted line, you have your system, okay? So your input signal, it comes from outside of your system. Obviously, you feed the input, right? So once it enters into your system, this input signal, then you may have some feedback path, right? Which connects your output back into your input. You may have some feedback loop gain, right? Which is H1 here, and this is your feedback path, right? So this thing, as we all know or we have already discussed in the previous classes, so this circle with a plus and a minus, it is your summing junction. So signals can either be added or subtracted using this summing junction. Okay. So in this summing junction, you could see you have two positive signs. That means the two signals are being added together. But in this summing junction, you are subtracting the two signals. Okay, you have a plus sign and you have a minus sign. So basically, you are subtracting the feedback signal or your output signal from the input signal, right? So I mean, either ways, whether you are adding two signals or subtracting two signal, this is called as your summing junction. Okay. Now you have forward path. So if your signal is flowing from input to the output in that direction, all the path, they will be called as your forward path. Okay. And in the middle, you may have some gain or some transfer functions. Okay, you have G1, G2. So these are modifying your input signal. So G1 modifies your input signal and then send it to G2, which will again make some changes in your signal and then send it to in the forward direction. Okay, so G1 and G2, now we call them as gain. Okay, they are transfer function or you could call them as gain. Okay. Right. Now, let's say if you take some portion of the signal or you are taking the signal from this point and you are again feeding it forward to the output or to this summing junction. So in that case, if you are picking or taking off some signal, that is called as take off point, right? So this dot here from where you are taking the signal, that is called as your takeoff point. Okay, so these are some of the basic components that we use in a control while designing the control system or while developing the block diagram of our control system. Okay. I have mentioned about these components in here, so you can read them after the class or whenever you are revising. So essentially your summing junction may add two signals or subtract two signals, right? Whether it is adding or subtracting, it will be called as your summing junction. And feed forward path is when you are going from the input side to the output side. So that path is called as your forward path. And if you are moving in the backward direction, that is from output to the input, then it is called as feedback path. Okay. An input comes from outside or from the environment, right? Outside the system or environment, and then it is modified by our system. Okay, so coming on to the main topic here, that is what you have to understand and maybe asked to do in your assessment, is simplifying the block diagram. So if you have this kind of a situation where you have two blocks which are connected in series, you have G1 block and G2 block which are connected in series. So in that case, we can find out the overall gain, right? Overall gain by simply multiplying the two gains of these blocks, that is G1 of S multiplied by G2 of S. Okay, and let's say the overall gain is G of S. Okay, so what I can do is I can replace the two blocks by its overall or equivalent gain. Okay, so in the main or in the original block diagram, if you have like two blocks, you can replace them by a single block with its overall gain G of S, which is simply multiplication of G1 of S multiplied by G2 of S. Okay, so that's how we can reduce or simplify the block diagram. So over here, I have taken an example where G1 of S, it was given as 3 divided by S plus 2, and G2 of S, it was given as 4S divided by S plus 7. So the overall, or sometimes we call it equivalent, gain or transfer function. Okay, right? So here I have solved this example here. So what I have done is to find the equivalent gain or equivalent transfer function. I have multiplied the two gains which were given. Okay, so it is a simple multiplication. So if you see you multiply 3 multiplied by 4s, you will get 12s. And in the bottom, you have s plus 2 multiplied by s plus 7. And if you multiply the bottom line or the denominator together, you will end up getting s square plus 9s plus 14. Simple, straightforward multiplication. Okay. So if you have two blocks connected in series, two or multiple blocks, right? You may have 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks which are connected in series. In that case, if you are asked to find the overall gain or the equivalent gain or transfer function, you just have to multiply the individual gain of those boxes or those blocks. Okay. Now, so this is the second case is your closed loop to open loop. So if you have two blocks which are connected in a closed loop configuration, right? So here you have G1, you are generating the error signal at this summing junction, which is then sent to G1 of S, which is your forward path gain. So that's your summing junction, and this is your forward path gain, and this is your feedback path gain. Okay, so this is basically your closed loop system. Yeah, so you can replace this entire closed loop system with the summing junction, with the forward path gain, and with the feedback path gain by a single block with a transfer function g of s. That is, you can convert this closed loop system into an open loop system like that, right? Where your g of s, it will be given by this formula here. That is g of s, the overall gain or the equivalent gain or transfer function, it will be given by g1 of s divided by 1 plus g1 of s h of s. Okay, so this is an important formula which you may be required, or which we will use very often, right? And obviously it's quite good to if you remember that. So g of s, the overall gain of this closed loop system, will be g1 of s divided by 1 plus g1 of s multiplied by h of s. Now this portion, that is g1 multiplied by h, right? That is your forward path gain multiplied by feedback gain. It is called as your open loop transfer function or open loop gain. Okay. Right. So here I have taken an example. So let's say I will draw this maybe for visual reference. So I have my input signal and I have my output like that, and I have g1 of s here, and then from here I have h1 of, sorry, h of s, like that, and this side is your input and that side is your output. Input is r of s and output is represented by c of s, like that. Okay, so in this example I am given with g1 of s and h of s. So the transfer function, they are given. Okay, so if I have to reduce or simplify this block diagram and replace this closed loop system, all these blocks with the summing junction, if I have to replace by a single block, what I will do is I will use the formula which we have just discussed. That is g of s, the equivalent transfer function of all these blocks or both of these blocks with the summing junction, is g1 divided by 1 plus g1 h. Okay, I am already given with the transfer functions. I will just put them in this formula and find out the solution. So if you solve it correctly, you would end up getting 120 divided by s square plus 5s plus 844. Okay. So it's a simple substitution. You have to be a little careful while solving it, right? But you should end up getting this answer. Now, a little modification of your closed loop system. So in this case, we have unity gain feedback. Okay. So we have unity gain feedback. Now in the previous closed loop system, we were having this gain in the feedback path, or as we call it as feedback gain. Okay, so in the original closed loop system, we have feedback gain. It was h of s, right? You were modifying your signal with which is your output signal before feeding it back to the input. But in the case of unity gain feedback, your feedback gain is 1. H of s is 1 in this case. That is, you are simply connecting your output back to the input, okay, without changing anything. Now in the first case, in this case, you were multiplying it with h of s, or you were changing, modifying the output signal. Yeah. So the value of signal here would have been c of s multiplied by h of s. But in this case, the value of signal in this feedback path, it will be simply c of s and multiplied by 1, because we have unity gain feedback. Okay. So in this case, what we can do is we can take the previous formula and replace h of s by 1, because my h of s, that is your feedback path gain, is unity, or it is 1. Okay, so I have modified my previous equation or previous formula, and this will give you the equivalent. This function will give you your equivalent transfer function or overall gain or transfer function for a unity gain feedback system. However, if you notice that we have G0 instead of G1, right, which is my forward path gain, I have G0. Okay, so G0 has to be calculated. Now G0, it is G1 divided by 1 minus G1s plus G1 multiplied by H. Okay, so if you are given with a unity gain feedback system, so something like you are given with this type of system, right, and you will have feedback path with unity gain, right? So in this case, you can calculate the overall transfer function for a unity gain feedback by using these two formulas. So what you have to do is you have to first of all calculate the value of G0 using this formula, right? Using your G1, you have to first of all calculate G0. Here h of s, it will be 1. And then substitute the value of G0 in this formula to calculate your overall gain or your equivalent transfer function. Okay. Now I have taken an example here for this unity gain feedback system. So again, if you see in the feedback path, my gain is 1. Okay. my gain or my feedback gain H of S is 1. It is simply connecting my output back to the input. Okay. So I have to find the equivalent transfer function G of S for the circuit, okay, or for the following block diagram. So I already have discussed the formulas. So I will have to first of all calculate G0 and then substitute it in the equation to find the overall gain. So I have to calculate G0 first. So I have written the two formulas here. So first of all, I'll have to calculate G0. Okay. And G1 of S is given. Now, if you do the calculation, you would end up getting G of S, that is your equivalent transfer function, or we sometimes call it as overall gain of unity gain feedback system. That will come out to be 1000 divided by s to the power 3 plus 10s square plus 31s plus 1030, right? So this will be the answer that you will get after using the two formulas. First you calculate G0, substitute the value of G0 here, and then calculate your G of S. You would end up getting this value here. Okay. Now I will give you a shortcut or a verification method, right? So let's say you are asked to calculate the um, overall or equivalent gain. So what you can do is maybe you follow the method and finally you got some answer. So to check your answer, what you can do is you can see here essentially G1 of S, it was given, or the forward path gain, it was given as 1000 divided by S to the power 3 plus 10s square plus 31s plus 30. So this was my forward path gain. Okay. So if you look at the final or the equivalent transfer function, what you could see is all the numerator and the denominator is the same. So you have 1000 divided by s to the power 3 plus 10s square plus 31s plus 1030. Okay. So a shortcut method would be to simply add the numerator and denominator. So denominator of my equivalent transfer function G of S, it will be numerator plus denominator. So if you add them together, you would get 1030, and that is the same answer which you will get from the calculation here. Okay, so just a verification method for you for unity gain feedback system. But this shortcut, it is only for unity gain feedback system. Okay, so if in the feedback you have gain equal to 1, then only you can use this formula or use this shortcut. Okay, now let's say we have this type of a complicated block diagram, right? You have G1, which is your forward path gain. You have 3 summing junctions, and you have 3 feedback gain, right, and 3 feedback path, plus you have some more feed or the forward path gains, right, G2 of S, G3 of S. So this, if we have this type of a situation here, right, now if we see the 3 summing junctions and the 3 individual feedback path, they can be combined together. Okay, so the first step of simplifying this type of a block diagram is to combine these summing junction by keeping note of the signs here, right? So combine summing junction, summing junctions, multiple summing junctions are there, keeping note of the signs, right? That is whether you have a positive or a negative sign here. So if we look at the signs, only the middle signal or H2 of S is added, whereas the other two, H1 and H3, they are being subtracted at the summing junction. So we have to keep that in mind. And how do we combine the summing junction? Let's see. So I have replaced the 3 summing junction by a single summing junction. Okay, and I have combined them here, keeping note of the signs. So only the middle one, which is H2 of S, was getting added, whereas H1 and H3, they were being subtracted. So I have noted that. Okay, now the second step would be to simplify or reduce these feedback gains. Okay, simplify or reduce feedback gains. Again, you have to keep note of the sign. Whether you have a positive sign or a negative sign here. Okay, so again, H2 of S is only positive, right? Whereas H1 and H3 are negative or they are getting subtracted. Okay, so I can replace this by, I will write the equation here so it will be easy for us to understand or relate the 3 slides, right? So H1 is negative, so minus H1 of S, and then H2 is getting added, so plus H2 of S, and then H3 is again negative, right? So H3 is being subtracted, minus H3 of S. And what I will do is I will take negative common from all the 3 and write it something like this, H1 of S. Now I have taken negative common, so this will become, H2 will become negative, H2 of S, and this will become positive, H3 of S, like that. Okay. So I have combined all the feedback gains and I have taken a negative feedback. Okay. Negative feedback. Okay, and I have replaced all the three summing junctions by a single, I have replaced all the three feedback gains by a single feedback gain or its equivalent feedback gain. Okay. Now, why do we apply or why do we use negative feedback? There is a entire clarification for that, and I will discuss that in today's class. Okay, I will tell you why do we prefer negative feedback. Okay, but for the time being, just let's keep it this way. We prefer negative feedback. Why do we prefer? I will discuss in the next few slides. Okay. Now, since I have reduced all the summing junctions and the feedback gains, I got this block here. Okay, or I've reduced my block diagram. Now, what I can do is, if you note the blue dotted box, right, this one, within that block, you have kind of a closed loop system, and G3 multiplied by G1, that is your forward path gain, and this entire equation H1 minus H2 plus H3, that is your feedback gain. Okay, so I have just now discussed the formula or the way to reduce this block. So again, I can apply that formula here, right? So for closed loop system, the overall transfer function g of s is g1 of s divided by 1 plus g1 of s h of s, right? So essentially the block diagram, it was something like this, right? If you remember, g1 of s, and then you took the feedback. In the feedback you have a gain which is h of s, and you are feeding back to a summing junction. Let's say you have a summing junction. So this blue box, blue dotted box, and this closed loop system, they are quite similar, right? It is essentially a closed loop system, right? So we are applying this formula here, right? So the forward path gain is G3 multiplied by G2 divided by 1 plus the forward path gain is again G3 multiplied by G2 multiplied by the feedback gain, which is H1 minus H2 plus H3. Okay, so basically I can replace all of this, the closed loop system, by its equivalent transfer function, g of s. Okay, so let's see. So again, kind of I have skipped one step. So basically if I replace, what I will get is this type of a block, g1 of s, and now since I have calculated the equivalent transfer function, so I can replace the entire closed loop system by g of s, right? So I will get this type of a block, right, after reducing it or after this step. Now what you could see is these two blocks, they are connected in series. Okay, so when the blocks, they are connected in series, they can be reduced, and the two blocks, they can be replaced by its equivalent transfer function. Let's call that g dash, and g dash will be g1 of s multiplied by g of s. Okay, so that is what I have done in the next slide. Okay, so we already have G3 multiplied by G2 divided by 1 plus G3 G2 H1 minus H2 plus H3, and I have simply multiplied G1. Okay, the gain of the first block. So the gain of the first block was G1, and this all together they have an equivalent gain of Gs, which is given by this equation. So I've simply multiplied G1 with this equation here, or the equivalent transfer function of the closed loop system. Okay. So essentially you can reduce that complex block diagram into a single block like that, single open loop block or open loop system. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, we prefer to have negative feedback. Why do we want a negative feedback? Why can't we have a positive feedback? Yeah. The answer is quite simple and it is a bit logical. It is basically we prefer negative feedback for a stable system. So by negative feedback, what you are doing is you are calculating the error, right? Error between your input and your output. And then according to the error, your controller and the plant, they are trying to reduce that error. Okay. So if you have a negative feedback, what is happening? You are getting an error. Controller and the plant, they are trying to reduce it. Maybe in the second run, okay, in the second run, your error might reduce. Let's say initially I get an output something like this. Okay, so the amplitude of this signal is maybe 2 volts, but my desired value of my output is 1 volt. Okay, so in the first time I'm getting 2 volts as my output. So there is an error, right? So that error, it will be calculated here, and that error, it will come out to be 1 volt. Yeah. So again, plant and controller, they will try to reduce the error. So maybe in the next run I will get maybe 1.5. Okay, then again there is an error, so now the error, it reduced to 0.5. okay, so then again according to this error 0.5, my controller, it will try to again reduce it or adjust the signal. So again the error, it will reduce like that. Okay, so maybe 1.8, 1.7, sorry, it should be 1.3 or 1.4, like that. Okay, so slowly and gradually, because of this negative feedback, my error is reducing, right? Now imagine a situation if you have plus here, if you were adding the output signal, just the opposite will happen. If you have 2 volts as the error in the beginning, okay, let's say if you have 2 volts at the beginning, then your error, if you are adding, it will increase. Okay, so basically this error, it will be 2 volts, and then you are making a change, but your error, instead of reducing, it will keep on increasing like that, more and more. if you add, if you have a positive feedback, your error will increase. Whereas if you have a negative feedback, your error will reduce. And we want our error to reduce so that finally, maybe after 2 or 3 runs, the error will gradually reduce and I will get a stable output around my desired value. Okay, so that is why we prefer to have negative feedback. So just for example, a better picture is this. So if you have a negative feedback, your error will reduce, and gradually it will reduce. And finally, after this, you will have a stable output around your desired value. Okay. So for the stability of the system, we prefer to use negative feedback. Okay. And if you have a positive feedback, that is, your output will rapidly, it will have a rapidly increasing error. Right? If you have a positive feedback, that means your error will increase. Something like this. Your error, it was initially there was some maybe 3 or 2 volts at the beginning, but then it gradually it increased all the way because you have a positive feedback and the error is getting added up, and it's increasing or amplifying the error, the output. Okay, so if you have positive feedback, your oscillations or this error, it will increase. There is an application for positive feedback where you want your output to accelerate, um, something like an accelerator. You may use a positive feedback, but in general, for almost all the control system, we want a stable output. We want our system to be stable. So generally, we use negative feedback to reduce the error. Okay. So